Hello everyone and welcome to the Rising Giant, Incredible Journeys Behind podcast. Today I have another special guest with me. She's my teammate here in Italy at FC Como Women and she's also a Swedish national team player. Julia Karlernäs, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Well, a funny story. Whenever I was looking at your bio, we almost probably would ended up my first offer from abroad was from Sweden, and it was the club that you played for. It's called Malbackens IF, if I said that right.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's crazy, and at that time I looked up, and this is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I remember they were last on the table at the time where they called me. To be honest, I probably regret a little bit saying no, but yeah, we would probably be teammates.
Yeah, you weren't scared when you saw the picture of the field in the middle of nowhere?
No, I don't know why I said no, but yeah, that would be something.
That would be something, yeah. But
like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, that would be something. But we met at least 10 years later here in Italy.
In different culture, different country.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just start at the beginning. Why did you decide for football, and how was at that time in Sweden, knowing that, as far as I can remember, Sweden was one of the most developed countries when it comes to women's football?
Yeah, that's true. Sweden has always been quite early, I think, with women's football. Yet, I would have to say, I started when I was 8 years old, and it was kind of because I always played in school, and I loved it. I played a lot, and there was one teacher that told me, like, hey, you're pretty good, maybe you should try to play in a team. So my dad took me to, one of the local teams, and it was supposed to be like both men team, like boys and girls. But it was almost only boys, and all the teams we played was only boys almost. So even if like it was early developed in Sweden, I would still say when I was starting to play that it was like mostly boys. So,
to be honest, when we spoke about things before the podcast and you said the boys, I was surprised because I always had the picture of, Scandinavian countries, especially Sweden, had a great league for so long. I remember going my first Champions League. We played in Sweden against Linköping. We got our butts absolutely kicked. You always had a good league. So I thought, you also have many girls, like small girls playing football. So that was surprising for me when you started. Yeah. When you said that you started with the boys. Do you think that was advantage for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm from a smaller like town, so maybe in the bigger cities there was more like girls team, but where I'm from it was more boys team because it was a smaller city, and I think it was an advantage because maybe the boys was a bit tougher, and they played also maybe more like, in school, so they had a bit better technique or everything. So I think it was an advantage for me, and I felt like I always needed to prove, myself. So I think it was a good environment for me to develop in.
I was actually going to ask that question a lot later, but since we are talking about intensity, you're probably the most intense player on our team on the field, but the minute you step off the field, like you're the nicest one, do you think you got that intensity already at that early age, and how can you switch that fast?
Yeah, I think about this intensity that you're talking about is really about like a burning will to win inside. And I think it's like both the developed, but I also think I always had it because I heard like stories from parents when I was young that they were like, yeah, the boys were like flying in the duels and they were like
scared of you.
Yeah, scared kind of. And I don't know, I think it's in my nature, kind of, that I always had this like intensity and winning instinct on the field. So, and probably maybe it was developed also because I wanted to show kind of the boys that I was as good as them, or like this.
I absolutely love playing with you. I hate to be against you in the trainings, to be honest, but it's just I know that every single time I'm with you, we're going full out, and I love that. For me, that's number one quality. You can have the best technique, but if you don't have that will to give absolutely 100% every single time and be intense, then I don't think you can get far. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the best qualities that you have.
Yeah. I mean, I think on this level, everybody has it to a certain degree, and then maybe, of course, some has it a bit more and less, and maybe if you have less of other qualities, you have to have this will even more. But I think it's a quality that it can take you far.
Exactly, because if I would be a coach, that would be one of the number one qualities that I would look for. Obviously, you're on that level, so you can play football. You have a technique, you have everything else. But I think that a lot of times that makes a difference. And like you said, yes, it's true that if you want to be on that level, you kind of have to have that. But it's not that easy to be consistent. No. So every single training being so intense and giving 100%, not a lot of players do that.
No,
so
true.
Props to you. Yeah. Going back to your childhood, I feel like Sweden, it's very open-minded country anyway, but you said you're coming from a smaller town. Have you always been supported by the family, by the people around you, playing football?
Yeah, I've always been supported by my family. I've not they never put pressure on me or forced me to do anything. It's always been like an inner drive for me to just that I loved playing football and that I wanted to play football. But they were always supporting me. I think maybe when I grew up and became like a teenager and was taken out of the youth national team, it was more maybe a challenge that I came from a bit like smaller town and like this, where others were from bigger clubs and this, and I felt maybe that I had to really show myself, whereas other players coming from maybe bigger clubs, they were already known kind of. So from my family, I always felt support, but maybe sometimes I had this feeling that I had to show myself because I came from maybe a little smaller club and a smaller town.
But do you think that because that happened so early, that now whenever, because you're one of those players that even, let's say, one day you're not in the starting 11, you never give up. You go and you train even harder and you don't ever blame anyone else. Do you think that this is coming from that part already from the early ages where, you had to, no matter what, show yourself even more?
Yeah, I think so. I think I kind of never got anything for free. And I think that mentality you kind of have to have then, because I know that if you want something, you have to kind of take it, and you have to you can never give up, and you can never blame anybody else because it's not going to help you. So you kind of need to find a way to put the responsibility on you and then make it happen yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I completely agree with that. A question that I kind of always wondered, about people that are coming from Scandinavia and, those developed countries. When I was younger, a lot of times when people ask me, oh, what are you training? What are you doing? And I said, I'm playing football. They were like, really? You're a girl and you're playing football? it was kind of like a huge shock, surprise. Have you ever experienced that, or in Sweden that just didn't exist?
No, I can't say that happened to me, that people were shocked. Of course, I met like prejudice a bit, and like people saying like, "Oh, women's football, it's so boring, it's so bad, it's like this," in comments, and that I've met, but I haven't met that personally. I would say that they think it's like surprising that I play football, but of course I met like prejudice about women's football being like bad and boring. Yeah.
Okay. It's crazy because your national team is one of the best national teams.
Yeah.
And I think you're playing very good football, so it's crazy that people think that. But I feel like that switch kind of started to happen in 2019 with the World Cup in France, where people actually started to watch women's football.
Yeah.
And a lot of them actually said, "Oh wow, girls can play." Yeah, obviously you've never watched before, so you were just judging on on the fact that you just had some assumptions and you never saw us.
I really agree. I think it's really been like a shift in the mentality, because I remember when I was, as I told you, when I was younger, I felt whenever the national team was playing that people had bad comments and thought this was really bad. But now when it's the World Cup or national team, I hear men talking about it like it's, they're talking about football. Not that it's women football. They're talking about the tactics and everything. So I think it's really been a shift the last years than when people really have seen how good it is and seeing it as football, not women's football.
I think that's great. And okay, so before we go a little bit further down your career, I just remembered that, probably one of my most devastating moments as a youth player actually happened, in a tournament, U19 tournament qualifications.
Okay.
And the Sweden was part of that. So we probably did meet before.
Okay,
we were the same age.
Yeah.
We were, I think, in Estonia.
Okay.
For qualifiers, and it was us, I think Czech Republic and Estonia.
Okay.
And we actually tied against you 2-2.
That's
So I don't know if you remember that or not. In order to go through, we would have to win against Estonia,
Okay.
which was considered the worst team,
Yeah.
and we just tied. So it was
Okay.
probably the most devastating thing that happened.
I can imagine traumatic experience.
But yeah, I just remember we probably did
We
meet.
probably have met
Yeah.
in a national team.
It's crazy how paths then cross again after.
Yeah. I mean, the women's
so many
football world
years.
is kind of small, but yeah, we probably met. I
Yeah,
think
we
so.
probably did.
Yeah.
You played for quite a few clubs at home in Sweden. You played Champions League as well. How was that experience? When did that happen? Like, how was playing? I think you played twice, right, with the two different teams.
Yeah. So the first experience was with PTO. We won the league in 2018, and the year after we played Champions League, and of course it was super cool experience and something I always wanted to do in my career as being like an international tournament. So it was a new experience, and I think we met the Danish team Brøndby, home and away, and it was we had really many who it was their first experience, international experience. So we ended up losing 1-0 at home and then tie away. So we just got relegated in the first round, but it was really even. But it was like super cool experience, and I think also like so good experience for all the players to get this international like level, because it is another level when you get out international. So it was super cool. And then the second time was with Häcken. And then it was, we played Lyon, Bayern Munich, and Benfica. So then it was an even higher level. And that was like really cool experience. And those are some of the top teams, obviously, in the whole world. So that was an even higher step. So it was super cool to really feel that that level of football and play on the highest level and feel how fast it goes and everything, how good the players are.
Being in obviously in one of the most developed countries when it comes to women's football, when did you sign the first professional contract, and what was the feeling? And have you ever thought like, okay, I can be a professional football player, or I want to do that?
As professional, you mean that I wouldn't had to work, kind of?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a bit tricky question. Okay, like I started in my elite team. I was 15, but obviously then I was still in school and I didn't earn a lot of money. And then I played in teams where I earned a bit, but I still had to work. So I would say like the first contract where I could live of it was when I played in Piteå and I was 23, 24. So from there, I would say I was like professional. Then it just got better and better, the economic, like the salaries, obviously, and the professionalism also.
Did the girls had to work also on the side? Because I know, for example, in Germany, girls had to work as well, not just, they weren't... it was working and playing football, even if league was one of the best leagues.
Yeah, I think in Sweden, in many teams, it's still like that. Some teams are fully professional. They train in the morning and like only playing football. But still, it's many teams that you could say semi-professional. You earn like quite some money, but you still maybe train in the afternoon, and some are working or studying.
Are they working because they have to, because the standard is so high, or because they just choose to do it?
I think in many teams you have to, because maybe you could
crazy.
survive. Maybe you could survive on the salary, but it's like in many teams I think you have to. So it's still this in many teams that it's like semi-professional.
And we're talking about the first league.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because in Sweden this is not this system that we have here in Italy and Spain, for example, that here it's kind of the federation, right, that decides, okay, now the league is professional and kind of gives money, if I understand it right. That system doesn't exist in Sweden. So there it's like, okay, the clubs get a little money, I think, from the federation, but they have to stand for the salaries themselves. So many clubs are still struggling economically, I know. And for me, it's really a shame, because the standard of the league is so high and has been so high for so many years, but it hasn't really been showing in the salaries.
Yeah, it's crazy. And also it's interesting because, when you see actually the jerseys of Swedish teams, you're usually like full of sponsors, so I would never think, okay, girls literally have to have a part-time job in order to be able to play football.
No, but unfortunately in some clubs in the highest league it's still like that. But it's obviously it's being better and better for every year, but it's still like many teams that struggle financially.
Crazy. So that's definitely one of the obstacles that are there, and I feel like pretty high obstacle. Speaking about that, what were some obstacles that you had to overcome during your career? You played abroad as well. You're still playing abroad. Spain, Italy. To put all that in one question, can you just talk about the journey, going abroad, like obstacles that you had to face?
Yeah. So for me, luckily I haven't had any like super severe injuries. Do this.
Knock
on wood. But for me, I think it's always been a kind of a battle against myself. Like to reach the highest level, I think for me it's really been like I have to beat myself kind of, and it can be about like, you know, self-doubt and negative thoughts and all of this, and that's normal and that's super normal, but that you have to like overcome kind of. And obviously, like I think that's like the mental part and the like psychological part is such a big like factor in football. I think everybody who
probably the biggest.
Yeah. So I think that's been like the biggest challenge for me, and something that I really have developed and still working on, and probably continue to work on. Like,
how do you face that?
I think when I was younger, it was still a bit like you didn't talk so much about it. It was just like you're just playing football and that's it. And but then as it got more open in the football world to talk about it, like the mental part, that you should train that like as any other part. Like you train your physical part, you train the technical part, the tactical. Like why you should also like train the mental part. So as it became more like normal to talk about it and got more information, I got interested, and I started to train it a bit, like search information, just like I searched information about physical training. Like I searched information about how can you think and how can I approach a game.
Have you ever had any help, like a mental coach or someone?
Yeah, I have. In the national team, for example, we had like a mental coach, and I've also been working like with a mental coach, like in private, and talking a lot also with friends and other football colleagues and like this, and just trying to get as much help and information as I could. And when I was younger, I thought maybe that I need to know everything by myself. Like I shouldn't get help because I don't know.
You maybe have to do everything on your own.
Yeah, I need to do everything on my own, and I shouldn't do that. Maybe that's looks like I'm weak or something. But when I grow older, I just saw that the more help I can get, the better I can get. So I thought I want as much help as I can. So, yeah.
Yeah, that feels like a hot topic right now, mental health and everything that comes with it. And thank God, because I feel like we are our own biggest opponent, I guess, or obstacle or limit.
Yeah.
People are finally talking about it. And I think that with, speaking about it and first of all, recognizing that it's normal, that everyone has doubts, everyone has fears, everyone has anxieties. Sharing that and first of all accepting those things and then getting help, working on it, I think that's the best thing that can happen. Because this is also where, if you don't address that, you just stay on the same level.
Yeah.
I've actually heard that when you think that you're at the rock bottom, it's like that's the best thing that can happen to you, because like your previous version of yourself wants to die in order for the better version of you wants to be born.
Yeah.
And I think this is, when people are trying to avoid that, it's a shame because it's opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think as like football players, like elite athletes, I think it's just so normal to try to, develop yourself in every area. So to like neglect and ignore one area is just stupid for me. And I think it's just natural to try to take every opportunity to grow in every area.
I mean, you can kind of like oversee it for some period of time, but then sooner or later it's going to show up.
Yeah.
And it's going to show up even bigger and harder, and it's going to be even harder to jump over it. So I feel like the earlier you can recognize it and tackle it, the easier it is for you. Absolutely. And women's football, the way it's developing, with the speed that it's developing, I think you just have to. If you want to stay at the level, if you want to handle the pressure, then you just have to work on yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Your adventure in Sevilla.
Yes.
How was it? Going to Spain, I feel like that's a huge cultural shock for you. From Scandinavia to very impulsive, outgoing Spain.
It
Sevilla, come on, out of all places in Spain, you picked south.
Yeah, it really was. And the fun thing is I was playing in a team called Piteå then, before I came there. And that's really far north in Sweden, like snow minus 25. You know, so it was really a big change of scenery, you could say, at least. But yeah, it was kind of a culture shock, I think you could say. And it was for me, when I look back at it, it was a huge learning time for me. At the time, of course, it was a bit tough. I remember feeling it being tough, but when I look back at it, I just see, wow, I learned so much, and I am so thankful for that experience, which made me prepare so much better for coming to Italy, for example. But yeah, it was so many differences in like in the football and like how you train and you know how you communicate. You know, coming from Sweden, I think there the communication is not so direct, and people are kind of nice, you know, in the trainings. Maybe it's not so normal, coaches yelling at you, you know, this direct way, and like shouting at you in your face. And that's happened a lot in Spain. And in the beginning, that was like really, wow, okay. I was not used to it, you know, but I got used to it, and I got so much like tougher and saw different ways of doing football, doing communication, leadership, everything. So,
did you speak Spanish?
No, I didn't. I learned as I once was there a bit, but not so much. No. So
then it's even worse because someone is yelling at you and you don't even understand.
No.
What? Exactly. Sometimes it's better that you don't understand.
Sometimes it's better you can just nod along and give a thumb up, and you continue to do your thing.
For how long were you there?
I was only there for half a season because I came in the half season there. But it was such a learning experience, and it was also really like cool to see the football culture in Spain and how strong it is and how much knowledge there is about everything around football there. So it was such a it was a really good experience, like learning wise. So I really took that with me.
What was the biggest difference or the differences between, you know, Swedish league and Spanish league?
I think the biggest difference was the technical part was usually like individual technical quality was higher in Spain. And I was also surprised that the intensity was so high. Because when I picture Spain, I pictured like, you know, passing game, tiki-taka.
Laid back.
Yeah, a bit maybe. But of course the passing game was also there, like really good developed, but it was also really high intensity, I would say. Obviously another difference is maybe with the physicality. I think in Sweden it's a lot of emphasis on the physicality and, you know, heavy strength training, for example, and a lot of running like this. And in Spain it was a bit more focused on the team, like the passing patterns and individual technique.
No, yeah, I feel like Spanish league in the last years just exploded. You know, I feel like before this is what they were lacking was intensity. They were always technical.
Yeah.
You know, the possession part was always there, but I think also on the international level, this is what they were lacking.
Yeah.
But as soon as they improved also the physical aspect, now they're obviously one of the best, if not the best in the world.
And I think really that's something that's been developing there the last years that they really added also this intensity and physicality, and when you mix that with their technique and passing skills, it's a really strong team and league.
Italy.
Yes,
Experience
Italy.
here. How long have you been in Como?
In Como and in Italy, this is my third season, my third year.
So have you been like for 3 years just in Como, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been only in Como, yeah, and it's my third season.
So you came whenever they were already, or we were already in the first league in Serie A.
Yes, I came that year that they just went up, the first year in Serie A, yeah.
Okay, obviously I've been in Spain and Italy, but how was your experience? Like, do you think it's similar? Do you think because you spoke Spanish or understood Spanish, it was easier to adapt to being here?
I think it was easier maybe to adapt to here, but I think that was because I had this experience from Spain, so I was a bit more prepared for a different cultural experience. I was a bit more experienced, and I also would say that the club Como helped me adapt so well, because I think it was such a welcoming and good environment, like good people to be in, that was really taking care of their players. So that also helped me adapt really fast, I would say.
That's that's absolutely great and so important for a player, especially from someone foreigner. But I feel like still, when it comes to the game, it is different. It's not like Spanish game.
No, I agree. I think really you can see some big differences, and I think in Italy, obviously, it's even more tactically, and maybe the intensity is not as high as in Spain, but the tactical part is, I would say, probably even more developed, and like the smartness of the game of reading your opponents is even more developed. So I really think that I've grown a lot, like tactically, since I moved to Italy, to be just a more thinking footballer, if you say. What do you think? Like, do you agree?
No, I agree. I definitely agree. From obviously Spain, like I said, very technical, possession oriented, now also physical. Obviously, the game is growing so much. I feel like Spanish league is one of the best leagues right now in Europe. People want to be there. So, it's hard to be... There's so many players that naturally, everyone's good who's playing. So that makes game a lot better as well. But like you said, I feel like Italian league is a lot more transitional, kind of back and forth. And like you said, a lot more tactical as well. So yeah, it's different, but to be honest, I enjoy both. And also, it depends on the club still.
Yeah, of course.
And the philosophy of the coach that is at a certain club.
Yeah.
So I think there are many different factors, but if I would have to, overall, that's the difference that, I would point out.
Yeah.
National team. One of, obviously, Sweden, one of the biggest national teams in women's football.
Yes.
How is it being part of that environment?
I mean, I think it's every footballer's dream kind of to play for the country, and so it was for me also. And when I first got picked, it was 2018, I think. It was we were winning the league in Sweden with the team I was playing, and I felt that I was like doing really good, and I got a call from the national team coach, and obviously it was like a dream come true, and it's super honor to play for your country, and but then when you come there, it's like, I think it's always then it's like, just football. You want to go there, you want to play, you want to be the best. So when you come there, I think it's like just as a normal like football environment. But of course, it's super special and it's a memory, really. Yeah.
So you've been part of the national team, playing abroad. What dreams do you still have? What is something that you still want to achieve?
I mean, I have a lot of dreams still.
Thank God.
Yeah. But I would really like to, if I'm only like speaking for myself, I would really like to win something again, like a cup or a league or. Really, to win a trophy, even more, and I would like to beat my best goal scoring in season.
Which is what? How many goals?
In Sweden it was another thing. Now I'm talking about like international, because in Sweden I did 11 goals once.
11.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good for a midfielder.
Yeah. So I kind of want to beat that. So that's like a goal I have, and I just want to really like reach my full potential, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for all the time. So
always trying to get better.
Yeah.
You have a similar mentality that I have. Me and you always after training trying to do a little bit extra.
Yeah.
I saw you today also.
Yeah.
By the way. Speaking about goals.
Yes.
I did not have that question on the list, but just came to my mind.
Yeah.
You're probably one of the best, if not the best, headers in our team. Is that just natural, or obviously yes, you're tall, but not all tall people can, they don't have really good headers.
No.
Someone help you with that when you were younger, or you just kind of like a natural thing?
Yeah,
Because you're an absolute beast.
Yeah, I think it's kind of natural, but maybe it's a bit both, because since I am tall, I think I got the
advantage.
The advantage, and also I always got the responsibility, you should go up on corners and you should take the heading duel on the goal kick, for example. So I think I did it a lot because I was tall, but then I think also heading is a lot about mentality also. So I think I have it quite natural, because it's a lot about being brave and put your head in there, and
Exactly.
really kind of be aggressive and attack the ball. So I think it's something that I've had also naturally, and I think heading is a lot about also the mentality. Yeah.
No, yeah, and obviously timing, like you said,
Yeah.
but the mentality, because you put your head everywhere.
Yeah. Losing a lot of brain cells every day.
like American football players,
Yeah. We'll see how I will be when I'm 50.
Wow, it's all right. So, what would you say to someone who is either afraid to have dreams or afraid to pursue those dreams?
I would say just go for your dreams. And I think it's okay to be afraid, but it's not okay to even if you're afraid of a thing, you can still do it, actually. Just because you're afraid to do something doesn't mean that you actually can do it. So I would say go after your dreams, even if it scares you, and just go for it, because I think you're gonna regret it if you don't.
Have you ever felt like giving up?
No, never.
You were never at the point where like, oh my gosh, like I have enough because of certain things and.
Oh, okay, yeah, like at some parts I've maybe had that thought, but never to a point where I was like really considering it. Like, of course, maybe I had that thought when
you're very pissed and
yeah,
at the
you know,
moment,
like this,
but then
yeah.
you're like,
But I think if it's something that I'm not tolerating to myself, is that I give up. And I think I can tolerate like that you're doing a really, really bad game, or you know your performance is really bad, because that happens to everybody, or that you're feeling down, you're feeling bad, and you're not performing. All of that happens, and that's gonna happen to everybody. But for me, like the one quality one like thing that I can't compromise is that you can't give up. Because it's hard to beat someone that never give up.
Yeah, it's the attitude, right?
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes, like you said. Everyone has a bad day, but you know, it's your attitude on the end.
Yeah.
Well, so. Julia, thank you for first of all inspiring me every day, pushing me to be better. Because whenever I see you out there trying to do more, I just have to do more as well. And then thank you for being a great teammate, teammate on the field and then off the field as well. And thank you for saying yes to this. Thank you for sharing your story. And I really, really, really wish you so that all of your dreams come true.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thanks for doing this podcast. It's awesome, and just keep going.
Thank you.